Here at Helmuth Ford, we are a small town dealership with no hassle and no pressure.
Hi, this is Stacy from Shuttler Insurance Services. Come see me on the east side of the square in Sigourney for all your insurance needs.
Welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to the show.
And now, your hosts of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the For Frequency's Sake Tag Team Champions of the World, the Wizard CZ, and Never Wrong Nick Bull.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. Of course, I'm your host, Never Wrong Nick Bull. We are, of course, powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. We wanted to put those guys over. Without them, this would not be possible. Of course, I'm Never Wrong Nick Bull. I'd be remiss if I did not introduce you to and mention he is my co-partner on the championship run we have for the For Frequency Network as the Tag Champs. He's also my co-partner here in crime on the Card Subject to Change podcast. He is the one. He is the only. He is the Wizard CZ. Wiz, how you doing tonight?
Man, I feel good. You mentioned our monumental title reign. We have held those titles for 2.5 years now.
I know.
Kind of hard to believe.
I know, and we're defending them less than Roman Reigns did during his monumental run. So there's a little bit of heat on us right now, and understandably so. But plenty of other stuff to talk about tonight. I'm not going to lie to you. You know, we love having interviews on this show, and we thought on the road to WrestleMania, usually, you know, we have people on to review the big shows, and we felt this was a big show. From the start, even after Royal Rumble, like something major is going to happen at the show. I don't think we could have called anything of the major that happened last night, but we had a feeling we want to get a guest on to talk about this show instead of just having two old heads like you and I chomp it back and forth. We wanted to get another expert opinion on this, so we booked this ahead of time, and I'm glad that we booked this person in particular because, you know, we love having wrestling fans on. We love talking wrestling, and what a moment for the ages last night in wrestling, which we'll talk on here briefly.
And of course, we're going to welcome in our guest. He is a good friend of the podcast. He is the head honcho of Central Empire Wrestling. Of course, I am talking about none other than Austin Bayless. Austin, how you doing, my friend?
Man, guys, you said two old heads. We've got 3 old heads and then 1 young one. My son Bristol's joining us. He's excited. Are you ready for this? You got double trouble tonight. 2 Bayless boys ready to rock this. What a night. Thanks for having me. I know you invited me for the Rumble. My wife had a holiday party in late January, early February, whatever it was. So thanks for rescheduling with me. This is going to be my maiden voyage, our maiden voyage. So you guys steer the ship, and we can't wait to talk about last night's Elimination Chamber.
Oh, man, and what a night it was.
Before we break down the show and talk about how big of a moment that was last night, can we ask Austin Bayless if that was your elimination chamber that they used for the match?
Oh, I wonder if we lost him. He went...
We did lose Austin. We did lose Austin momentarily. I think he's trying to come back on. We'll bring you back here. This is the Card Subject to Change podcast, the podcast by the fan for the fan. We are powered by Lopez Pizza, built by Durham Remodeling, colored by Ryan Allison Tattoo, and protected by Jared Zook of Country Financial. I'm Never Wrong Nick Bull. He's the Wizard CZ, and we are going to be breaking down that night for you that happened last night, of course, at WWE Elimination Chamber in Toronto, Ontario, Canada. We have Austin Bayless of Central Empire Wrestling. We're back. We got connected back up here. Austin, I wanted to ask, was that your elimination chamber that they used for the match last night?
We were there in Toronto, the future 51st state, and I couldn't believe it. It was a beautiful sight. I was looking around, and then they were doing the anthem, and they were booing it, and then they were cheering theirs, and man, I was just excited to be there. It what a night it was, you know. No, definitely wasn't. I was in good old Wellman, Iowa, rural Iowa, watching it like you guys were, and man, it's always impressive though when they do these big arena shows, these big stadium shows. I went to the Elimination Chamber when it was in St. Louis, and it may or may not have been sold out, but we're talking 15, 16,000. Last night was what? Just shy of 40,000
Just shy of
wrestling
40,
fans.
yep.
That's where the Toronto Blue Jays play. That is an indoor-outdoor baseball stadium. That's a baseball stadium show is what that was. And amazing.
What a game changer in live events, you know, this last 2 years. And I think SummerSlam this year is 2 days and
Yep.
Philadelphia or something. So, wow. Good time to be a wrestling fan. A lot of options. I really liked the show because 4 matches. I think less is more. You can definitely dedicate more to the stories. I'm a big fan of fewer matches, but longer stories. So yeah, I was kind of surprised when that lady was singing and they were booing the anthem. I mean, I wasn't necessarily based on the world, but I don't know. I just thought that's kind of sacred for everybody, and you kind of show your respect. So I thought right away, if that's how we're starting, this night is going to be a crazy one.
Oh, absolutely, and it definitely was. Where do we want to start? Because there's so many things we can talk about. Do we just want to rip the Band-Aid off and talk about the big moment first?
I think you got to.
I don't think there's a way around it.
Everybody's talking about it everywhere, right? I'll flat out ask you guys, is this the biggest heel turn in wrestling history? And I'll start with you, Austin. You're the guest. You've been around wrestling for a long time. You know how this stuff is run. You know how this stuff goes. You're a fan yourself. Is this the biggest heel turn that we have ever seen?
Well, I got to disappoint you guys a little and say that we go to bed early at the Bayless house. So we actually went to bed before the main event. And,
okay. Hey, you're smarter than me. Okay. Because I went to bed way late.
I wish I would have stayed up for it because I remember being a younger guy watching these shows, and the end of the show was always the best. But I think you guys can admit too, to say that, you know, as we've gotten older, it seems like the shows you can just watch them later and they're forgettable. This is a reminder of why you got to stay up late, why you've got to watch. I was laying down on my phone, and all of a sudden my Facebook started dinging and my phone started ringing, and you knew something had happened. You knew something major had happened. So I heard about it. I watched it a little bit. I was super excited, but I wanted to wait to watch it live with my son in the morning. So I get up, my wife's already seen it, and I'm super excited. I say, Briston, let's go watch it. We get it on the TV, and Briston says, my friend already texted me. You're not going to believe what happened. So it was
all that work you went through.
All that work. I guess, you know, honestly, though, it's a really good lesson as a wrestling fan. Things are good right now. It's WrestleMania season. You don't go to bed early. Elimination Chamber, that's a big deal. I didn't know who was going to win. Frankly, when we were kind of looking at it, we weren't quite sure who all was in it. We haven't truly watched leading up to it. Mm-hmm. I figured Cena wouldn't win. I thought it was a beautiful, I can't wait. Seth Rollins, CM Punk. I think that's going to be phenomenal. But as far as the biggest heel turn, I think the most beautiful thing about this is I've been seeing he's been a babyface for 22 years. He's been a fan favorite for 22 years. And in that time when he was shoved down everybody's throats for so long, people were begging for it and begging for it and begging for it. And I think the timing, you know, of course, I probably would have said 10 years ago the timing was right. But I think there's just something about right now that feels really special about it happening. The Rock is the man. You know, WrestleMania season. I think it was huge. I wish that I was watching it live. I loved watching the replay. I did not like that goofy guy with him, though, that came out with The Rock, whatever
Travis
his name
Scott,
is.
the rapper, yes.
Yeah, I just felt like he took away from the moment moving around. I found myself watching him a little more than I wanted to. And I, you know, celebrities, it's WrestleMania season, that happens. I kind of wish that he wasn't involved in it because I think it took away from the guys I'm more passionate about. I didn't even know his name, you know, so my son did.
And I don't know anything about him. I knew that he was advertised for the show, and I seen his name when they flashed up. I don't know any of his music, so I
Yeah.
know he's a big artist, though.
I loved the John Cena's face, that expression. Beautiful. I mean, people, you're going to remember that forever. It looks uncomfortable. It looks like, all right, stuff's about to hit the fan. And I like the Rock's belt. I like the date on it. You know, I mean, there's just small things like that that I think really speak volumes for the story that they're trying to tell. And it's not just a story that came together at the end of the show. It's a lifelong story. That's a 22-year story. It's incredible. And honestly, I hope, just as the fan in me and the business person, I hope he wins the championship and gets to the end of the year and says, I'm not going anywhere. You know, I mean, that's wrestling. So
Do
maybe
they
it'll happen,
pull?
maybe it won't.
Do they pull the trigger on him to win the 17th as a heel?
Uh-huh. Yep.
You
I
think
would.
so?
I don't know, but I would. I think that'd be fun.
Yeah. I'm asking, what would you do? I mean, you're booking this thing.
I love a good villain. I think I am most passionate about villains. God, I just love people being bad, love people being mean. I think that destroying that record of Flair of 16, making it 17 with an evil Cena, it's fresh, it's good. I think so. No disrespect to Flair. It's just, hey, the world goes on, times change, and we're ready to change it. Let's change it by making people mad.
Right. I mean, look at the 4 years that Roman held the belt and how mad people were. Even go back to WrestleMania 39, how upset everyone was that Cody did not take the belt off him then. But that was the right move. And this just felt right. You knew when they didn't have this in the middle of the show that something really big was going to happen, because you know you can play Monday morning or armchair booker all you want, but you got to look at the rundown of the show. You'd think a segment like this would probably be somewhere in the middle, unless there's something crazy that's going to happen, and this did not disappoint. I looked over at Nick afterwards, and I kind of had this feeling when Cody turned down The Rock and Cena started jumping around like a madman celebrating this. I'm like, Cena's turning. That was my first thought. I thought that Cody was going to attack Cena before the segment started. I thought Cody was going to take the deal. But then when Cena started celebrating the way he was, I'm like, oh, this is happening. And what a magical moment it was.
Isn't it amazing? I'm sure you're seeing similar things on your social media timelines. People are changing their profile photo to this. I mean, their wife's out the door. Evil Cena face is their new Facebook profile photo and that type of thing. I think that speaks volumes for how big this is on a wrestling fan.
It's an image that is going to be burned on every wrestling fan's memory. They're going to remember where they were when this happened. You know, hey, where were you at? Who were you watching the show with? What was your reaction when this went down? This was one of those things. And I think maybe this is one of those moments for a younger generation than the current room here that we have. This might be one of their first major wrestling memories that tie in with, you know, the older generation, you know, kind of believe, you know, it shook the whole spectrum of wrestling fans last night, whether you're our age or the age below us that was watching this.
Wait until tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
What's next?
Yeah. No, it's fresh. It's good. My son loves it. And he loves Cena because he hated Cena before, you know. So it's a different vibe in our house for sure. I bought him a John Cena farewell shirt for Christmas, and he doesn't like to wear it. Now I think he might wear it.
I mean, I don't even feel dirty for John Cena, and I don't think the fans do either. I think the shock is just maybe starting to wear off on most wrestling fans. There's probably going to be more to come as we record this on Sunday night, more to come tomorrow night on Raw and Netflix. Is there more that they can do, or is this a slow burn to mania? What would you do next, Austin, in this situation after what we seen last night? How it all went down. What would you do on Monday night to further that?
What are we, 6 weeks away? Ish?
7. We're 7 weeks out.
7?
Yep.